I want to welcome everyone here. The council president will be speaking, and he'll probably introduce his colleagues who are here and present with us. And then Councilman Griffin will be speaking, and he will probably identify and introduce all of the people, both in administration and the Let's Safe Coalition. And so, but I welcome all of you here. And I want to thank the Department of HUD for their giving us a grant of $9.7 million. As you know, the lead problem is more than a $9.7 million problem. But because of the work that has been done by the Lead Safe Coalition and our administration working, this is an essential part of us being successful in reaching our goal and our attempt to eliminate lead in the homes of Cleveland. And as you know, lead is a, in our opinion, epidemic. And the impact it has on children in particular is significant, not only in terms of their ability, the cognitive skills, but we believe it also affects their behavior as time goes on. And as we go through this, I know that HUD has been a great partner in not only chastising us at times, but also giving us the kind of guidance that we needed to have to stay focused on what we needed to have done. So I want to introduce ma'am so that you can come and introduce.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mayor Jackson, for welcoming us to our council members and directors. I'm Pam Ashby, the field office director with the local HUD office, and this is a great day to be in Cleveland. Mr. Mayor, I do recall your remarks a couple of weeks ago where you spoke about economic disparity and inequities, and we know also that there are social inequities as well. But thankfully, because of the city of Cleveland and them being proactive and their partners, we're going to be closing that divide. I had the privilege of being a part of the LED Summit this summer in June that was so well attended, over 500 attendees. And it was a great time for us to be together and to see interested residents of the city of Cleveland come together to try to figure out how do we deal with this problem. Again, I thank the city for being such a great partner with us throughout all of the programs. CMHA is a very important partner for us, and your commitment to them as well is very much appreciated. So why I'm here actually is to introduce our regional administrator, Joseph P. Galvin. Mr. Galvin was appointed by President Donald Trump to serve the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and he is the Midwest Regional Administrator in the Chicago Regional Office. Mr. Galvin returns to his role as he was appointed by President George Bush to serve in the same capacity from 2001 to 2009. He is responsible for the oversight and delivery of HUD programs across 6 states: Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Minnesota, the great state of Ohio, and Wisconsin. He is currently chair of the Regional Interagency Council on Homelessness and serves as HUD's liaison to elected officials, congressional delegations, associations, and stakeholders. Prior to joining HUD, he worked as principal with Galvin and Associates, advising housing authorities on program performance, compliance, and executive management issues. Previously, he was also the president and owner of his consulting firm, with the offices being in Chicago and Washington, D.C. At this time, let me present to you our regional administrator, Joseph P. Galvin.
Thank you, Pam. Good morning, Mayor, council members, Clevelandites. It really is a pleasure to be here today with you. And on behalf of President Trump and HUD Secretary Ben Carson, I am so happy that we can share some exciting news. On behalf of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, it is my pleasure to announce that HUD is awarding $9.7 million to the city of Cleveland, one of the largest grant amounts awarded in the nation. Mayor. As always, I have these great remarks, so we're going to kind of not really pay attention to them, because it's really an easy topic to talk about. When you're looking at $9.7 million, as the mayor said, what does that mean? It means it is the start. Something that you started in June, something that the mayor has been working on for years. It's an issue that we had talked about back when I was here 2006, 2007, 2008. We talked about how do we solve the crisis of making sure our youth, our most vulnerable, have the same opportunity as everyone else. Those who are in households at risk, older homes. How do we make sure that our most precious resource, our children, can help and participate in this great city? So of this $9.7 million, 9.1 is lead-based paint hazard reduction. And that means we're going to be, the city, we say we, because it is a partnership, but the city is going to be going in and looking at the homes over the 7-year period to remediate, to take care, remove those hazards. I tell the story of growing up in Chicago in my apartment building. I say it's modest, but we used to pay $60 a month for rent. And one of the hobbies that we had sometimes was to, when we were bored, to see who could peel off the largest piece of paint off the windowsill. And the same thing in the back porch. Given that these homes were built in the late 1800s, you could only imagine what layers and layers and layers of paint had in them. We were lucky. We were fortunate. Some of our youth are not as fortunate. They aren't as lucky. We have to change that pattern. We have to change the path to make sure that we can work to bring out the best that they have to offer, to bring out those God-given talents so that they can be productive citizens of Cleveland. So the city is looking at 493 homes over this period of time. Our staff is going to work closely with them. Paul Diegelman, who's our lead guy, he's in the back there. He's going to make sure that, and Pam Ashby, the head of our field office here, is going to work together with the mayor's staff to make sure that the money is spent effectively, efficiently, timely. Because every minute, every day, every year that passes is the opportunity to affect children in a negative way. So the quicker we do this, the faster we get this money out there, the faster we get the remediation, the better off we will all be. And I have to say, Mayor, having your summit in June, the number of participants, everybody coming to the table, unbelievable. It's something that other cities across this nation can learn from. It's something that I think we're going to tap into your people so that we can bring it into the region, to let people know how we can work together, local, state, federal, but most importantly, the community. Because if there's no buy-in from the community, projects don't move forward. So I want to say congratulations, Mayor, City. Congratulations to the youth of this community, because we will now be working together jointly to make sure that your future is a bright one, that Cleveland continues to shine here, and that all the work you do is blessed. So God bless you, Mayor, and God bless this community.
So as was mentioned, in order for us to be successful, things cannot just happen in isolation. They have to be part of an overall strategy, a comprehensive plan. And everything that we've done in Cleveland and been successful at, we've done as one community. I will say to you that that would not have happened without the leadership in City Council. The Council President and particularly the Chair of the Health and Human Services Committee. It was their leadership and us working with them that has allowed us to build this infrastructure that will make this $9.7 million more effective than it would have been than if we did not have this infrastructure that they have created. So I'm going to introduce the council president to talk.
I broke it. Thank you, Mayor. This is a great day in Cleveland, Ohio. And first, I'd like to begin by introducing my colleagues that are with us, Councilman Kevin Conwell, Councilman Brian Casey, Councilman Mike Plunzik, and I'll introduce Councilman Griffin in a moment. But understand that this has been a council agenda item for some time, and I'm very happy to see that we're getting to a point where we're actually going to execute a plan. Lead poisoning is something that should never stop shocking us. We should never be comfortable with the progress we've made until this is taken care of. And this is a high-impact neighborhood program, and it's going to take $9.7 million concentrated in a neighborhood to make an impact. And I was talking earlier to Paul and Pam, and they are going to work with us because we are all of the mindset that we have to succeed. There is no room for failure in this. We have to succeed, and we're going to do it now. But I'd like to introduce my colleague, Blaine Griffin, who's the Chair of Health and Human Services. And let me say that it's easy to be concerned about lead poisoning. It's easy to talk about it. It's easy to have a position about it. Coalition building is hard, even when you've got an issue that most people agree upon. It's hours of work, it's hours of meetings, it's hours of managing personalities. And Councilman Griffin took on this task. He took it on behalf of council. He worked with people. He went to, thousands of hours worth of meetings, and he really made this, his life's work until we got, well, it's going to continue to be. But this has been his passion. This has been his issue. This has been something that he really led the council, represented the council, and really is very responsible for building the Lead Safe Coalition. So with that, I want to introduce my colleague and champion against lead poisoning, Councilman Blaine Griffin.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Galvin. Today is a great day for the city of Cleveland. It's a great day for several reasons, but before I go any further, I want to acknowledge all of the partners of the Lead Safe Cleveland Coalition that are here today, and I won't even attempt to try to name all the individuals, but if all of you could please stand up, raise your hand, some kind of way, please be acknowledged. The infrastructure that the mayor talked about, the Lead Safe Cleveland Coalition, that now has more than 380 members, is a coalition that is a private-public philanthropic partnership, as my friend and colleague Natoya Walker always calls the 4 Ps. And it's important that you recognize that government cannot do this alone. So the infrastructure that the mayor is talking about that we put in place enabled us to put together what some call one of the most historic pieces of legislation, and definitely something that we think is a game changer to create systemic change in the city of Cleveland by making sure that everyone has a lead safe certificate beginning in 2021 and ending with everyone having one in the rental properties by 2023. And that was only done through having a coalition and a partnership with everybody on board. Ordinance number 747, we believe, is the centerpiece of making sure that we make children safe in this community and not exposed to lead toxins. When we first heard about this award, and I want to thank Director Maness, I got word and somebody told me that there was somebody dancing up in community development. And I said, who was that? And they said Commissioner Louise Jackson. And if you know Commissioner Louise Jackson, she's a very, subtle person, but she was very excited about this. And then I gave my colleague, Councilman Conwell, who I call the man of Glenville. And he was excited, and it made you feel good because as you walk around, you see that there's a culture beginning to change about our community, how we look at not making sure that children are exposed to lead. Yesterday, we met with Governor DeWine, and many of us are a part of a lead safe advisory committee that he's putting in place. So it's good to see the universe come together to make sure that our children are a priority. Many people thought that we couldn't do this. This was impossible. Many activists that have been on the ground, like Kim Foreman for many years, like Robin Brown, who I see now, who was affected by lead and who is a parent who has been affected by lead and working in the Mount Pleasant area for years. Many people were getting discouraged. But this community came together, and Mr. Govan, I could tell you that we don't want this to be the end of the investments that we have in place. We have now a lead-safe resource center and a lead-safe resource fund that we want to make sure we continue to get the private investment we need to make sure that we have safe, clean, affordable housing for our children and make sure that we have a lead-safe Cleveland in 10 years. Thank you, everybody.
So at this time, we will actually present the check. So Mayor? And this check, it's made out to the City of Cleveland, October 2019, in the sum of $9,700,000.
Don't cover our faces. No more clicks. All right. All right.
If there's anyone who has a question, some of the details won't be answered by us, but we have people who can answer details. So any questions?
I wonder if somebody could explain how you're going to get the money into the houses. Are you going door to door? Like, how do you get property owners here to buy into this and to accept the help?
Director Mendez,
Okay.
your department is managing the funds.
So that's the $9.7 million question, right? But I'm happy to say that part of the confidence that HUD has had in us is this is our third grant where we have been successfully enrolling residents into the grants. Now this is a much more concentrated area. We're focused on a handful of census tracts, and that is in the Glenville area, yes. We are focused on 4 census tracts in the Glenville area. That creates a larger challenge in some ways, but it also allows us to look at how we can engage the community in a much more focused way. So we have a program in place right now that was just launched where we have community engagement specialists that are going out into the neighborhoods. There are 2 in this area that will be helping with this program. The broader coalition, so much of the work of the broader coalition is about community engagement. It's about education, it's about building trust, because we know that as much as we would love to knock on doors and say we're the City of Cleveland, we're here to help you, sometimes we need people who are not the City of Cleveland to make those engagements. We'll be working with Councilman Conwell and his team on the ground. This is a neighborhood that there are a lot of partners. Famico's Foundation is very well established in the neighborhood. So we won't be doing this alone is the high-level answer. Over the next several months, we'll be putting together a very specific plan on how to engage the community.
Could you describe what kind of work this will fund?
Sure. So the program is targeted to unfortunately, homes that already have children in them that may be lead poisoned, and then the preventative side of looking at homes where there are children residing, and we want to ensure that we are able to prevent lead poisoning. So we'll be going out and doing the lead risk assessment to look at what work needs to be done in the house. If there is a child in the home, we'll be doing a full remediation, while much of the work that the Lead Safe Coalition will be doing are interim controls that would be more preventative in nature. If there is a child in the home, we'll be doing a full abatement, and that's often replacing windows, doors, any friction surfaces where there could be a lead hazard, as well as painting on the external side. We have a paint program that is in place that we haven't had for many years that we'll also be able to deploy to leverage the resources from the federal government.
I just want to make sure I understand, because I know in the past some of these grants have really only been available for, only used for families that have already had kids be poisoned. You're saying that this will also be available before that poisoning occurs?
Yes, and actually with the federal grants we've had in place, we really try to, of course, target families that are being impacted at this moment, but we've always been able to support families from a perspective of if there is a child in the home.
Anybody else? we thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.